Welcome back to the series on Indian philosophy with me, Surbhi, Uniyal, a PhD scholar at the Center for Philosophy, Jawaharlal Nehru University. In this video, we are going to take up another school from the heterodox tradition, that is Jainism or Jain philosophy. The word Jainism has come from the word Jina, which means conqueror. So it is applied for those who have conquered their passions, their desires and karma and has obtained emancipation. Jains believe in 24 Tirthankars, who are also known as the founders of faith. And out of these 24 Tirthankars, the first was Rishabdev and the last was Mahavir. Vardhaman Mahavir, who was the last Tirthankar, gave a new orientation to Jain faith, and modern Jainism can be rightly considered as the result of the teachings of Vardhaman Mahavir. So the Jains do not believe in God, they only believe in the teachings of Tirthankars and follow the path showed by them. Jain philosophy is a common sense realism and pluralism, which means that they believe that objects are real and they are many. So in this video we are going to first start with Jain epistemology, and then we will move on to metaphysics and lastly to ethics. Starting with Jain epistemology. So Jains believe in twofold classification of knowledge, that is between the immediate, which is aparoksh, and the mediate, which is paroksh. Immediate knowledge is further divided into avadhi, manaparyay and kevala. While mediate knowledge is further classified into mati and shruta. Perceptual knowledge, which is often considered as immediate knowledge, is considered as mediate knowledge in Jain philosophy, because they consider that in perceptual knowledge we presuppose an activity of thought. It is through the medium of senses or mind that we get perceptual knowledge. So they consider perceptual knowledge as mediate. Mati includes both perceptual knowledge as well as inferential knowledge. Shruta means the knowledge derived from authority. Thus perception, inference and authority or testimony are the three types of pramanas accepted by Jain philosophy. Avadhi Gyan, Manaparya Gyan and Kevala Gyan are considered as immediate knowledge, and they are also considered as extraordinary perception. Avadhi is referred as direct knowledge of things, while Manaparya is referred to as the direct knowledge of the thought of others. So it is also known as telepathy. While Kevala Jnana is considered as the absolute knowledge. As Kevala Jnana is considered as absolute knowledge, it is only acquired by the liberated souls. It means omniscient knowledge, so it is not limited by space, time and object. Knowledge can be further divided into praman or knowledge of things as it is, or nay or knowledge of things in its relation. The Jains point out that the immediate knowledge or the immediate knowledge that we possess shows us that objects have innumerable characters. A perfect, omniscient being can know the object in all its innumerable characters through immediate knowledge. Imperfect beings like us look at the object from a particular point of view at a particular time. So we have the knowledge of one particular aspect of the object. Such partial knowledge of one of the innumerable aspect of the object is known as Nyaya. Nyaya is a standpoint from which we make a statement from our opinion and pass a judgment. There are 7 types of Nyaya, through which an object can be examined and a conclusion can be drawn. Out of these 7 Nyayas, the first 4 are called Arthanay because they are related to the object or meaning, while the last 3 are known as Shabd because they are related to the word. The first is the Negam Nay, which is a standpoint in which we look at a thing as having both the universal as well as the particular qualities. So we do not make a distinction between universal and particular qualities. The second is the Sangrahanay, in which we emphasize on the universal qualities and ignore the particular qualities. The third is the Vyavharanay, in which we take things as concrete particulars, and it is a conventional standpoint which is based on empirical knowledge. The fourth is the Rajasutranay. Here we identify the real with the momentary. The fifth is the Shabdnay, which means that a word is related to the meaning it signifies. So we strictly go by the meaning of the word. Sixth is regarded as Samabirudranay, which distinguishes terms according to their roots. So it signifies restricted features. The seventh is regarded as Evambhutanay, according to which this name should be applied to an object only when its meaning is fulfilled. So these are the 7 types of name mentioned in Jain philosophy. Jains insist that every judgment or nay should be accompanied with another word which is known as somehow or syad. This word somehow is used in order to accommodate another possibilities or limitations to this judgment. So it opens up a possibility of other points of views. For example, instead of saying the jug exists, we should say somehow the jug exists. By saying somehow the jug exists, we say that we are trying to show that jug exists only in a particular circumstance, or which would remind us that the statement is true based on many conditions like space, time, quality, and so on. So it is based on certain conditions that the statement that somehow the jug exists turns out to be true. So the theory of judgment of truth based upon Nyaya in Jainism is known as Syadvad. Syadvad is the theory of relativity of knowledge, which is a dialectic of 7 steps. So it is also known as Saptabhangi Nyaya because it includes 7 steps. Ordinarily, we know that logic distinguishes 2 types of judgments, affirmative judgments and negative judgments. While in Jain logic, we will see that they have talked about 7 types of judgments, including these 2. Jain qualify each with a word somehow or syad in order to show its conditional and relative character. So let us look at these 7 types of judgments. The first is syad asti, which means that relatively or somehow a thing is real. So it can be symbolized as somehow S is P. The second is syad nasti, which means relatively or somehow a thing is unreal. So it is a negative judgment. It can be symbolized as somehow S is not P. The third is syad asti cha, syad nasti cha, which means that a thing is both real and unreal. So it can be symbolized as somehow S is and also is not P. Example that I can give here is like saying that somehow the jar is and also is not red, when I want to argue that sometimes the jar is red and sometimes it is not red. The fourth type of judgment, which is known as syad avaktavyam, which means that relatively a thing is indescribable. So it can be symbolized as somehow S is indescribable. Fifth is syad asti cha avaktavyam cha, which means that relatively a thing is real and also indescribable. So it can be symbolized as somehow S is P and is also indescribable. Sixth is syad nasti cha avaktavyam cha, which means a thing is not real and also indescribable. So it can be symbolized as somehow S is not P and is also indescribable. Last one is syad asti cha nasti cha avaktavyam cha, which means that relatively a thing is real, it is unreal and indescribable. So it can be symbolized as somehow S is P, is also not P and indescribable too. So these are the 7 kinds of conditional judgments in Jain logic. So let us look at an interesting example of an old story taken up in Jain philosophy of some blind men who are touching an elephant. So these blind men, they are touching different parts of the elephant and they are trying to describe the elephant by the parts that they are touching. Thus the man who caught the ear of the elephant said that it is like a country-made fan. The other who touched the legs of the elephant said that it is like a pillar, while the other who touched the trunk of the elephant said that it is like a python. The one who touched the tail of the elephant said that it is like a rope, while the other who touched the side of the elephant said that it is like a wall, and so and so. They are describing the elephant by the parts they are touching, and they are giving different types of arguments because they thought that their description is the correct description. So they are arguing among themselves that it is like a pillar, or it is like a rope, or it is like a python or a wall, and so on. But for a person who can actually see the whole elephant knows that those people are only talking about the partial knowledge, or they are only talking about one aspect of the animal. So for the person who can see the whole elephant knows that these people are only describing the parts of the elephant that they can feel, which is not the whole animal. And by describing the animal from the part that they can feel is a mistaken notion which they hold about the whole animal. So this example shows that our judgment represent different aspects of the many-sided reality, and we claim only partial truth. So this idea of Jain philosophy makes it open-minded and tolerant. So it teaches us that how to respect others' point of view. So okay, now let's move on to Jain metaphysics. Jain metaphysics is a realistic and relativistic pluralism, also known as Anekantvad, or the doctrine of manyness of reality. The Jains bring the whole universe under the two everlasting categories of Jeev and Ajeev, or conscious and unconscious. The notion of Jeev means conscious or spirit or soul. It is infinite. The Jeev is the Gyata or the knower, the Karta the agent, or the Bhokta the experient. It is included under the Astikaya Dravya as it is extended in space. Jeev is characterized by infinite intelligence, infinite peace, infinite faith, and infinite power. So all these characteristics are present in the Jeev. But with the union with the matter, which constitutes the sansar, these characteristics are obscured. Though they are not destroyed, but they are obscured. So Jeev is a conscious substance, and consciousness is seen as the essence of the soul. It is the soul that knows things, that enjoys pleasure, that performs activity, and also suffers pain. Jeevs are divided into those who are liberated, known as Mukt, or those who are bounded, known as Bad. The bounded soul are further divided into mobile and immobile. The immobile live in the atoms of earth, water, fire, and air, and they have only one sense, that is of touch. Mobile souls are again classified into those who have two senses like worms, three senses like ants, four senses like bees, and five senses like higher animals and humans. Moving on to the next category, which is Ajeev. The category of Ajeev is divided into matter, which is Pudgal, space, which is Akash, motion, that is Dharm, rest, that is Adharm, and time, that is Kal. All these are without life and consciousness. Time is anastikaya, as it is not extended in space. It is infinite, but it is not perceived, it is only inferred. Like time, space is also infinite, eternal, and imperceptible. Space is not extended. It is only the locus of extension, but it is not extended. So the function of space is to give a room for the existence of all the extended substances. Jains distinguish two types of space. First, the one in which motion is possible, which is known as Lokakash, or filled space. The other one is in which motion is not possible. It is known as Alokakash, or empty space. Dharm and Adharm are the conditions of movement and rest. So Dharm helps motion of the moving objects, while Adharm helps restful states or immobility of objects. Matter is known as Pudgal, which is liable to integration and disintegration. Atom is considered as the smallest part of the matter, and it cannot be further divided. Matter possesses four qualities of taste, color, smell, and touch. Moving on to the question of liberation in Jain philosophy. Bondage they see as the union of soul with the matter, and liberation, on the other hand, is seen as a separation of the matter from the soul. It is because of passion, which is due to ignorance, that attracts the flow of karmic matter to the soul. So ignorance is seen as the cause of bondage. So in order to attain liberation, we need to remove ignorance. So ignorance is seen as the cause of bondage. So we need to remove ignorance through right knowledge in order to get liberation. Right knowledge is attained by the faith in the teachings of the Tirthankars, while it is the right conduct which leads to perfect knowledge. Since practice is necessary, as a theory without a practice would be of no use. So we need to have a right conduct. So right faith, Samyak Darshan, right knowledge, Gyan, and right conduct, Charitra, they together form three Ratna, okay, or three jewels in Jainism, and these are the three things which creates a path for liberation. So let us now move on to our last topic, which is ethics in Jain philosophy. It is related to the right conduct. So the 5 vows form the basis of the right conduct. These 5 great vows are known as Panch Mahavrat, and they form the basis of right conduct. So those 5 vows are Ahimsa, Satya, Astayam, Brahmachari, and Aparigraha. Ahimsa is the non-injury in thought, word, and deed. Satya is truth, or truth in our thoughts, words, and deeds, and it is also seen as abstinence of falsehood. While Astayam is not to steal, that is, not to take in thought, in words, or in action anything that one is not entitled to. Brahmacharya is the abstinence from self-indulgence in thoughts, words, speech, or action, while Aparigraha means abstinence from all attachments. So with this we come to an end of our lecture on Jain philosophy. Thank you for being with us. I hope it was beneficial for you. Please stay with us for more lectures on Indian philosophy. Thank you.